All right, folks, C2 and C3 right here at your doorstep, coming in hot from Las Vegas. And today we have a special guest who is actually subbing for a special guest, Don Yoakum, who fell ill. We hope he gets better. Lost his voice somewhere between here and, what was it, Tucson, I guess, or something like that, C3. But we're very blessed and very fortunate to have his partner, Justin Stoddart. And Justin is CEO of ProInsight, a platform designed for business people just like you and me to learn how to make referrals and explode our business. Justin is also a best-selling author, and he has his own podcast you're going to want to go check out called Think Bigger Real Estate. All right, so we're going to get to Justin in 1 minute, but first, here we go on Cliff's Notes. Real estate agents, are you struggling with the day-to-day grind, dialing for dollars, putting in hours of floor time with little to show for it? Are you looking for tips, tricks, and tactics to accelerate your career as an agent that will have you closing more homes, working with more clients, and earning more money than ever before? Hi, my name's Cliff Freeman, and I've spent the past 2 decades of my real estate career running one of the top brokerages in DFW and personally coaching over 1,000 high-performing real estate professionals across North America. I created this podcast to share the strategies and tactics you need to explode your real estate business. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. We guarantee it today.
We guarantee it today, yes, sir.
I'm telling you, we were just chatting with Justin before the show, and ladies and gentlemen, you know we talk about rider downers all the time. I want to make sure you have a clean 8.5 by 14 legal pad with a fresh pen ready to go, because you're going to have rider downers coming at you from every direction.
I agree.
I mean, this is going to be exciting.
I'm excited myself.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go ahead and bring Justin in without any further ado. Justin, are you out there? There he is. Welcome to Cliff's Notes.
I'm here, gentlemen. It's super fun to be with you guys. Just seeing the stars that you guys align with, not just on this show, but others. It's a total honor to be here. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And it's an honor to have you. I mean, you've got a podcast that's rated like, I think Don was telling us, up in the top 2% of all podcasts in the world, or something like that. Something just crazy good.
Yeah, I've been at podcasting probably before podcasting was cool. It was a way for me to expand my network and learn from really bright people like you two gentlemen. And so I started about 7.5 years ago and do a weekly episode. And it's a passion project now. I get to be just knee to knee with some incredible people. Well,
I'm excited to dive into it. Sometimes you have a silver lining in a cloud. Poor Don was having problems on the phone this morning, and he said, "Hey, but I've got somebody who's even better than me that I'd like to ask to come, sit in for me." And we were excited, of course, and Justin, to have you here. Let's go ahead and just unpack and pop the hood here and talk about you said a passion. I mean, you've really got a passion for helping people and helping people grow their business. Tell us a little bit about, as CEO of ProInsight, what is it that you guys do? What's this platform all about, and how can it help people in our audience?
I appreciate it, Cliff. I learned a lesson when I was a land developer, home builder years ago, that my sphere at the time was 25 years old, similar to me, and they were not building $1 million homes. And I also realized that cold solicitation to find new clients to build $1 million homes was not a thing, or not an effective thing anyway. And that I had to be more strategic in how I was going about growing my business. And I realized that there were professionals in the marketplace who had all of my ideal clients. And if I added enough value to those professionals, they would create a steady stream of edified introductions to me, as many as I could handle. That became a theme throughout my career, and it's one that I teach now, and the one by which we build all of our businesses, which is identify those professionals who already have your ideal clients and allow those introductions to keep you from having to chase and sort through countless people who are not your ideal clients.
Well, that's that model just speaks to us as as part of EXP and our attraction business. The third party edification calls and really what we do in order to sort of build rapport with people, And that's really one thing that really differentiates what your model is versus somebody who's cold calling and makes it a numbers game and things like that. It's really about developing that relationship with the help of another trusted source, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very well said. I think we all understand and know that solicitation works. Don likes to say solicitation is for amateurs. That yes, you can do it, and you end up spending a lot of time receiving feedback that you don't have the right people. And some people don't have kind of the thick, the skin to be able to handle that. Even those that do, I would argue, is that they're diminishing their dollar per hour by having to spend less time with paying clients and more time trying to find those paying clients. One thing that we're really adamant about at ProInsight is the fact that big tech is working very hard to minimize what a real estate agent does and gets paid. And we believe that real estate agents ought to not be moving in that direction, which is a race to the bottom, but instead they ought to be moving in a direction in which they're adding more value and getting paid accordingly. And we believe that one of the fastest ways to do that, to not be minimized, not have big tech stepping between you and your client, is to not get your clients from big tech, but to get your clients from other professionals who are well paid, who are pre-vetting these people for you and helping you to know that these people are coming to you with money, with a real need at that moment. You see, many of the online lead aggregators out there are selling top of funnel leads, tire kickers, many of them, in which you're having to nurture those people for 6 months. And we all know the economics of that. You either hire people overseas, you do it, via technology. Nevertheless, there's a cost associated with that. Whereas when you can create alliances with key professionals, they can give you bottom of funnel, high net worth clients who are ready to go now. And so our whole model, again, is not only on helping them to have those leads, but really moving away from being minimized and towards being at the table with estate attorneys, with financial advisors, with insurance agents, et cetera. That when you can create alliances with those professionals, you get your ideal clients and you don't have to chase them. They come to you regularly.
Now that's a soundbite right there.
Yeah, no,
that
for
was
sure.
cracking,
That was
cracking the coconut.
cracking the whip.
Cracking the whip.
Yeah.
Justin, wow. Obviously, you know what you're doing here, but for those of you who are watching and really, if this is an epiphany for you, all I'm going to do is just salt and pepper this a little bit and just say that if you're acting like a commodity, you will become a commodity. Think about how most highly successful service industries, not service industry, but service business people, whether it's financial, legal, or whatever, the people at the top of their game typically get their business through relationships, and they don't compete on price. Price is an issue only in the absence of value, and if you walk through the value door into someone's life, then price really doesn't matter. Because that's what you're seeking, is somebody who appreciates value. Justin, I know you have some slides that you'd like to share with us. I just on your bookshelf back there, I noticed is that the Upstream model? Is that the book that's over your left shoulder there?
It is, yeah. That's the book that I authored about 3 years ago in response to what I'd been applying for about 15 years, and it's a way really that teaches the higher level principles of how to create these alliances with these other professionals, and makes a case as to why you should, not just to get business today, but to really indemnify yourself against being in the crosshairs of big tech.
Right. Wow. I mean, it's fascinating to watch, and you described it so well. I've been in the industry about 37 years, and to see where it's come from and how lead generation worked then compared to now, how, as you mentioned, the big data, big companies have gotten into it, and they really are trying to own that lead generation and lead conversion piece to make you just a door opener with very little value. And this is, I mean, if you've never seen Justin before, I honestly haven't met him, but I am just completely blown away with his understanding of what's going on in the industry right now. Justin, you do have a few slides, I believe. I just want to make sure, in deference to time here, that you get time to go through those and share. I know you've got some great information here to share with our audience.
Yeah, let me just kind of walk through the economics of this. We'll make a case that each one of these steps of the staircase, you can make money. However, the higher you go, the easier the money is to earn and the more of it you can earn. So this is really the path to 100x your influence. By the way, our mission at ProInsight is to elevate your influence, elevating the influence of professionals. And so I'll start down at the bottom. Again, there's nothing wrong. In fact, my admiration goes out to those that are willing to pick up the phone and do 100 dials a day, make 20 contacts day after day after day, right? Like that is, there's few things that are more noble than people that are willing to do that, even in the face of people not being very happy with you for doing it. So this is in no way criticism. It is, however, an invitation to consider potentially a better path. So if you look down here, these bottom two steps, solicitors, let's start with solicitors. Let's say that the average commission across the US for a real estate agent is $10,000. Okay, $400,000 house, 2.5% commission, $10,000 commission. Okay, that's and on average, if someone were to make 100 dials a day, 5 days a week, within 2 weeks or 1,000 dials, they would produce 1 sale in their pipeline. Okay, so 2 sales a month. That's a path that's been proven. Okay, the next step up, however, is one that you'll find is received with a little better conversion rate, because you're no longer soliciting to the unknown, you're now soliciting to the known. You're still selling, right? It may sound like something, even that kind of a cute adage that we've heard say over and over, which is, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals, right? And many of us think that that's very much a high level referral business. And depending upon who you are and how you say it, it very well may be. However, when you're showing up to be a getter and to get customers, there's something about that still is not as effective as it could be. Being a vendor, soliciting to people who know you is better than maybe soliciting to those who don't know you, until, again, you run out of people, or you realize that people don't always love being solicited. So there's that. Those first 2 steps are what we call go-getters, right? They're going out and they're getting customers, they're getting transactions. They're very transactional, and they get paid, no doubt. But if you take another step up to that yellow step on the staircase here, that's what's called a connector. These are people who are calling to give. You'll notice above that they're the go-givers of the world, right? And because they're calling to give, people like that. There's a certain level of respect and admiration when people are calling to say, hey, do you need to be connected to anybody? A roofer, plumber, painter, landscaper, right? There's value in that. So you'll notice that the number of calls that you need to make in order to get a transaction at solicitor was 1,000 to 1, at a vendor was 100 to 1. Okay. At the connector level, it's 50 to 1, because you're not calling to get, you're calling to give. People are more willing to take your call and listen to what you have to say. So you're in more conversations. At the end of the day, it is a conversation game. And this one, you're able to get into more conversations, and people are more willing to be in those conversations with you because you're coming from an attitude of giving. The next step up from that is what we call an advisor. Right now, this group is not just a liaison to value. Okay, that's how we defined connector, somebody who connects you to all the people that you need. And many real estate agents have made a great business around that. Okay, but the next level up is an advisor, very similar to what you were describing, C2, where you have a one-on-one conversation with a client and they are blown away. This is wildly more value than I expected to receive from my real estate agent. You know your stuff, you know our neighborhood, you know the industry, you know what it takes to get this home sold at top dollar, right? That's truly an advisor. Professionals that rise to that level are able to secure a transaction in 25 calls or less, okay? Again, they fit into that same category as their go-givers, and they get clients. And as a result, they're well paid. They're not just paid, they're well paid. Now, most professionals, service-based professionals, real estate agents included, assume that is the very top, that's as high as you can go. Is I'm a real estate wealth advisor, right? I'm an advisor. However, at ProInsight, we've helped professionals to go to the final level, which is they are directors. Think of like a board of directors, where you're no longer working in a silo. Okay, you are now bringing collaborative value. I'll give you an example. If you are uber wealthy, you may have what's called a family office. For example, if you're worth north of $50 million, you have your own real estate team, your own financial advisory team, your own insurance team. You have enough assets to keep an entire team of people busy, and you get them all to yourselves. They work collaboratively on your behalf. Now, the average consumer doesn't have that privilege or that opportunity. Well, at ProInsight, we help to create that, and we teach professionals how to work collaboratively. Now, I was just asked the question the other day, well, what's the difference between a connector and a director? A connector does this. A connector says, oh, you need a professional, here's a card, you should call them, right? A director is asking inside that consultation, not just what are you trying to do, with your home or your real estate portfolio, but tell me why. Tell me what's next. Tell me what comes after that. They're anticipating the professional that is going to be needed next. And they're saying, you know what? I think it sounds like where you guys are headed is that a really good tax advisor is going to be needed to give you this proper advice. Do you have a great one, like someone who's a 9 or a 10? Oh, you don't? Okay. Would it be okay if I introduced you to one? Let's hop on a quick Zoom call, the 3 of us. I'll make an introduction. I'll update this tax advisor that I recommend on your situation. And then if you feel like it's a good fit, I'll let you guys take it from there, right? You can decide after that kind of 15-minute conversation, if they're the right fit for you, you guys can create an engagement at that point. So that's what it looks like to be a director, is that you're in essence kind of sit on almost like a board of directors, where you are somebody who is not just worried about making a buck in your silo or even taking care of clients at a very relational level in a silo, but you are actively looking to identify who else is needed, bring them to the table, even if just briefly, make the introduction so that that client doesn't just see you for all things real estate, they see you for all things financial. And you're able to either work with their A-plus players, or even you're able to bring an A-plus player that they're missing from their team. Now, here's where this really gets interesting, is because it's not just about being well paid. Now you get to experience scale. And the definition of scale is that work is happening without you being present. So as you begin to create these alliances with these other professionals, they're now doing the same thing for you. So they're sitting in their client meetings, and they're not just saying, what can I do within my silo of tax advisory work, but they're saying, tell me what next year looks like. You see, most tax advisors will ask the question, did you buy or sell any properties in the past year? We teach them to say, do you anticipate buying or selling any properties in the upcoming year? Now that tax preparer just turned into a tax advisor. They get paid more, their work's more stimulating, and it just opened the door for them to bring you to the table in the same way that you brought them to the table. So now all professionals are elevated. You're operating in a stratosphere that big tech can't operate, and the high net worth clients that we all want, that are willing to pay for us and wait for us, as C2U identified, there begins to grow a line of those people who want to work with us, because our value proposition is so unique. Let me just share one more slide here that will put this into context for everybody. Again, that group gets scale, they become leaders, and they create true ambassadors. So if you were to go back now and look at the value of a call, right? A solicitor makes 1,000 calls, again, 100 dials a day for 2 weeks. Each call becomes worth $10, okay? So $10,000 commission divided by 1,000 calls, $10. The vendor level, right, which was a step up, they're soliciting the people that they know. They're only having to make 100 calls to get that same $10,000 commission. So each phone call is worth $100. Next level up, the connector level, they're only needing to make 50 calls, because now they're leading with value. Not there to get, there to give. So same $10,000 commission and 50 calls is $200 per dial. Okay, the advisor role. Again, this is more kind of requisite with what, or more similar to what, an attorney would get paid, right? Now you're at that level where you make 25 calls to get that $10,000 commission. In other words, you're getting paid $400 per dial. Now this final level that we're introducing to your audience today is the director level, where you make 10 calls and you have such a unique value proposition. And by the way, these other professionals are making calls, and as a result, you're bringing each other to the table. All of the finding, all the lead generation gets put into this bucket, which is I'm simply brought to the table because I'm in such high demand, because my value proposition is so unique. You now have, you're still making calls. Let me remind you, this is not a way to like a magic bullet where you don't have to make calls anymore, but your calls are way more valuable. They're way better received. And because you only need 10 calls to get to that 10,000 commission, each dial is worth $1,000.
Wow.
I'll stop there for a sec. Do you guys have?
Yeah. No, I just it reminds me, Gary Keller back in the day when I think it must have been 20 years ago, something like that. I remember him saying, you need to act your wage, right, and do those high level activities that are going to provide you the most. And when we go through and we coach agents on our team, we'll have them fill out a calendar and then put a dollar amount by the value of that activity. And this really, that slide you had just explained it so well, that being busy in this industry does not mean that you're making money. Everybody has to work hard, but working smart and realizing that there is different value in the way that you apply yourself is huge. Yeah. So I hope people in the audience are really resonating with this and seeing the value of just having the discernment between those different levels, and why it's important that you get to that point where you become a trusted advisor, where people seek your knowledge, and again, you said lead with contribution. That is ultra key in closing these days. It's not to, Glenn Ross is, that's what a lot of people are going down that rabbit hole with, the internet leads and all that kind of thing. But
the leads don't suck.
Yeah, they
do
suck. Right.
Yeah.
But the reality is that if you look at your business like an ecosystem, like an aquarium that you have to feed and you have to nurture and take care of, you'll find that there are, definitely different levels that you can service your clients and to be in that esteemed position, and the edification calls, all those things that you mentioned here, Justin, are just pure gold. And I just don't. I mean, this fills a huge gap in terms of the way most brokerages educate their agents, especially the ones coming out of real estate school right now.
And I think I agree with you. And one of the reasons why people don't do it is because it's actually, if you don't do it correctly, it's hard.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. To go sit down with an attorney and try and explain to them, hey, let's create an alliance here. There's a disconnect because, and I don't mean this any disrespect to our industry or any others, but those professionals don't see themselves as being equal to us. They see themselves as being professionally superior. I don't mean that from an ego standpoint, but they believe that there's a fundamental difference in the way that they operate. And I'll sum it this way: is when I was authoring my book, I interviewed dozens of financial advisors. And I asked them the question, I said, how many opportunities do you have to refer a real estate agent every year? The answer came back about 18 softball opportunities. And yet almost none of them were actually referred to an agent. They said, yeah, I don't really do that. I don't see the value, but I do see the risk. And I said, talk to me more about that. And they said, well, we have clients and real estate agents have past clients. In other words, you serve your clients as real estate agents for 3 months, and we serve our clients for their entire lifetime. Therefore, I don't really see how you have enough influence to bring them back our way or to keep them on plan. Beyond the real estate transaction, I don't see how you could really benefit us or our clients much. So it just seems like a risky maneuver for us to recommend a real estate agent, therefore we don't. And so we have this fundamental systemic difference in the way that they see themselves versus us. And we all know that there are real estate agents out there that absolutely belong at the same table. In fact, I would argue that good ones all over the country belong at that same table. Not only do we manage oftentimes the biggest emotional asset that people own, but oftentimes it's the biggest asset period that they own. Like, why would we not belong at a table where they're talking about, the finances of a family? Like, why would a real estate agent not belong at that table? Well, again, it's because there's enough lack of professionalism in our industry that they don't see themselves as being equal to that. So at ProInsight, we actually do something that becomes a paradigm shifting event. And it's called an expert panel event. In fact, I'll share my screen here one more time. This one event gives these professionals the ability to see that they should have a real estate agent at the table with them. So we host these events in every community across the country. We're looking for a top agent like Stephanie Peck, for example. She just moved to eXp Realty. Stephanie was featured on a panel that ProInsight hosted, promoted, professionally moderated. So she came in as a star. She simply pointed to some other professionals in her community in front of who, and she wanted to be featured in front of their database, right? These are professionals that she wanted to collaborate with. And so they agreed to be on the panel as well. They shared in the cost of that panel. And we were able to come in as a neutral, independent third party and feature and highlight all of them talking about this one topic, preparing for retirement in uncertain times. And the amazing thing is even before the event started, Stephanie had 4 solid pieces of business that came from that. 3 listings and one $1.5 million buyer. She's like, these people were in my database, but they weren't responding to my common communication of it's time to clean out your gutters or it's pie day, right? Nothing against those. I think all of those fit in some place of keeping top of mind. But when you start to market to your database as being equal to these other professionals, all of a sudden there's an echelon of people in your database that start to see you differently. Now, in addition to that, of just simply mining your database through unique marketing for those kind of ideal clients, these professionals, while they might have looked down at Stephanie previously because she's in a less professional industry, they were all looking at her as a peer, if not even as a mentor. Because frankly, real estate agents are better marketers, right? They're better promoting, they're better speakers. Like these professionals need real estate agents in their lives, and their clients need them at the table co-collaborating with these other professionals. These professionals just don't know it yet. And so the way that we help cause that paradigm shift to happen is that, again, we host this expert panel event. It's a virtual event. It's professionally moderated, professionally promoted, not just organically, but actually we spend money to get the community there. It's on a private Zoom call. And now you're featured in front of not only your database, but the databases of these other professionals. They get to see you in action, consulting their clients and your clients. And all of a sudden, something shifts in their head. They're like, dang, this person is actually like me. And my clients would be really well served if I could bring her to the table every time there's anything real estate related. In fact, I'm going to start asking about real estate related stuff because I kind of want this level of consultation happening in my business. So
Justin, this is strawberry jam on my bagel right now. I mean, it really is fascinating. I'll tell you what, just again, in deference to time, we had a little bit of a late start today. We've got about 5 minutes left. I want you to just load it up and give us the full 9 yards here, what you can do in 5 minutes. And that would include anybody who's interested in contacting you to get more information and perhaps, look into working with ProInsight to put one of these networking events together. Let's just open the goodie bag up and let them have it.
Cool. I love it, Cliff. Thank you for the opportunity. I think we all have a decision to make right now, which is what's the path that we're going to follow? And really, there's really 2 clear paths. One is to play the game of big tech in being and acting like you said, as a commodity. And that is to continue to be marginalized by these big platforms that, by the way, are able to own a screen better than we can, simply by the sheer valuation and money that they can put behind it. And as these younger generations come up and have more attachment to getting professionals from a screen, this is only going to accelerate. And we can move towards being a functionary of a big tech platform. We already see it happening. Some might argue we're already there by paying 35% to big tech firms to get our own leads back, right? We can continue to go down that path and continue to extend ourselves and hire all kinds of support around the world in order to help us to maintain top of mind. And that's one path to do it. And I think that there is, for those that do it at the highest level, there's a business model there. The other path that we believe in much, much more is to not play that game, not get marginalized by big tech. Now, we're not anti-technology. We embrace technology. In fact, we harness it. We believe that we should actually ride technology, not get overridden by it. And so we leverage those tools, right? One thing that we have within ProInsight is the ability for clients to give us their database, and we give them back all of the real estate assets owned by their clients, to where now they have a number similar to a financial advisor who knows their assets under management. Well, we can give our clients back their real estate assets under management, to where now they are truly not just in kind of token title of a real estate advisor, but they really are. They really can look at that database. For example, Stephanie, who you saw on this panel, we did this asset tracking experience with her. She had 800 people in her database. She has just under $1 billion in real estate assets under management. You realize what the financial advisor, how he looked at her when he realized that she had almost $1 billion of real estate assets under management, some of which is in the hands of people who probably don't want to be holding much real estate assets anymore, and many of that could be sold and transferred into a kind of a passive account under their management. Like, all of a sudden, real estate agents became the esteemed professional that everybody wants to be in business with, instead of maybe how they're seen now. So our invitation, everybody, is don't follow the path that everybody else is following, right? The commoditized path. Come follow this path that will help you to have your influence elevated to where you can actually sit and belong and be invited and welcomed and encouraged to be at the table with the highest paid professionals in our society, because that's where you belong. And the first path to go along with that is just set up a conversation. Like, let's talk about who you are, where you're at, what your goals are. My email address that we'll put out there, justin@proinsight.com. That'll start the process. We don't do that for everybody, but we love what these gentlemen are doing. Happy to have a conversation with you to talk through where you might fit in. We actually have an app that's live on the App Store now that is a great introduction to what we're doing. So anyway, grateful for this. And as you can tell, I'm super passionate about this, that we see families all over the country who are going on less and less and less. They're being squeezed, and they're having to work harder and harder and harder. In other words, in order to put food on their dinner table, they're having to be away from their dinner table. As a father of 6 children, that hits home to me, because I know the most important work that we'll ever do is within the walls of our own home. And when we're out chasing less and less dollars with more and more time, that means that we can't be in those environments where we're needed the most. And so again, this is much bigger than business. This is a mission for us to help professionals to rise above and be paid what they ought to be paid by adding the value that they ought to be adding.
You know, I love that. We've created this own image ourselves, and because low barriers to entry, and just you see everybody's pulling out of NAR now, and just a lot of turmoil in the area, but still it doesn't change how you can direct yourself and become a trusted advisor just alongside the attorneys, the financial planners, anybody else out there, doctors. This is a very honorable profession that we're in, and frankly, a lot of us make more money than doctors do. So there's no reason why you should consider, being the commodity that some of these other nameless companies like Zillow and others are trying to do. Okay, Justin, I want to thank you, man, for being on the show today. Blew me away. C3, what do you think?
Yeah, no, ProInsight is something I'm definitely going to check out and see what that's about.
Yeah, definitely. So it's Justin@proinsight.com, or you can always reach out to us. We'll put some notes in YouTube is the best place to get it. Cliff's channel, our channel. It's cliffsnotes.tv. Watch us there. And hey, we're going to be back next week with another guest. We're in town for a little bit. So stay tuned. Same bat time, same bat channel. Next week, we'll see you on Cliff's Notes. So tune in every Thursday where we'll give you the tips, tricks, and tactics to explode your business. I guarantee it.